we're going to do some motion capture using the HTC Vive and Glycon. So we're going to use this HTC Vive 1 head-mounted display and 2 of these HTC Vive hand controllers, the wand controllers. These were the original ones that came with the Vive. And let's get to it. And I have to stress, this video is a full pipeline. I'm going to show you how to go from basically putting on your equipment all the way to getting these animations into Unreal. So this is a bit longer of a video than a lot of the videos I usually make. Okay, when you first come into Glycon, you may be a little dude, you may be floating up in the air, and that's okay. What you want to do is put your hands out to the side, stand in a T-pose, push the bottom button on each of the controllers. On the Vive wand, it's the hand grip controller on the sides of the controllers. So I'm going to do that now, and you'll notice that I have now become a normal size person. Okay. Now, since we don't have a pelvis tracker or feet trackers, it's not going to track my feet, but it's going to estimate what it thinks I'm probably doing with my feet. So just know that. If you really need full body tracking, you'll need to use a waist tracker and feet tracker at least. Okay, so what you're seeing right now is the mirror cam. That's the one right behind me. And I'm going to pull up I have a few different views that I can show you. I've got an overhead view, and I've got the UI view, and I'm going to show you kind of different views here, but that's what you're seeing here. Is what you would normally see in the actual product looks like this. You are seeing it first person from the perspective of the head-mounted display. So we're going to switch to third person. There we go. All right, so to pull up the HUD, the user interface, you push the bottom button by itself and you just move it around. And you can do this with either hand, and you just hold down the bottom button as you move it around, and it will drag that around. And it's going to look like this. Now, if I pull this same HUD up using the other hand, it will switch sides so that the menu is on the other side, and that's mostly convenience. So that it's got the menu buttons closest to you, and then the other stuff is a little bit farther away. Now, in this particular case, it's telling me click on floor for feet and clone. There are various things you can use here that use the pointer on the ground. And to pull up the HUD, it's telling you this, and to recenter and reorient yourself, you use the two buttons at the same time. Now, one thing I want to show you about that is, you'll notice, if I go to the head display, you'll notice I've got this laser that shoots out of my hand. And that orientation of that laser is actually based on when I do the reorientation like this, and I push both buttons, it will recenter that laser based on basically a straight out line for my body. So if I don't like the direction it's pointing, I can just do that a few times. And then what you'll notice is that the laser points slightly differently. So if you're unhappy with the direction the laser is pointing, that's how you fix that. Okay, so I just want to go through the basics of this real quick. We've got an entire IK system here that will help you decide everything from how the arms move around to let's see, you can move it out of the way a little bit so you can see this. How the arms move, how the wrists move, elbow rotation, stuff like that. If you're not using an elbow tracker, length of the limbs. Same with the feet. If I wanted to, I could basically stick one foot on the ground, and I'm going to show you here. I'm going to hit the headset display here so you can see this. You'll see the footprint here. I can move it, and wherever I click, wrong one. Wherever I click here on footprint, it will move my foot and anchor it to the ground there. So if I'm trying to do a particular pose and I want to make it, or if I'm trying to do some kind of dramatic theme, I can anchor one foot to the ground using that feature. So I'm going to switch back to free mode here. Here we go. So that's all under the IK settings. Hands and gestures, well, on the wands, you don't really have this option, you just have the joystick. But if you're using the HTC Vive, the index controllers, you actually have the ability to do hand gestures too. And I see that I have on my right arm accidentally set my arm wrong. Let's try that again. It's a little better. Okay. Under lower body, you have the option to shuffle around like it is currently set, or sit or stand, or in my case, I'm going to hover. And see, that makes my whole body just kind of hover around like that. And if you're going to be replacing the lower body in some kind of other piece of software later, you might just select hover so you don't have to look at your feet being weird on the ground. So that's an option there. So we're going to go back into UI. So the virtual sets, this is really cool. This allows you to actually create, using a built-in voxel modeler, you can create an entire set using this. And basically you're just going to draw in the air, and it lets you draw stuff. And you can interact with that and move around and stuff. And you can actually export this as an OBJ. And if you wanted to bring that into something else and take edit it later, you could do that. That's right there, save as OBJ. So this is actually really good if you're trying to create an environment that you're going to interact in, and you're not you don't already have the model for it, but you want to do the motion capture first. You can totally do that here using these settings. The arena, this one here allows you to basically choose other environments that you might want to be in. So if you just want a skybox, or if you have the interior of something that you would like to look around in, you can do that here. And so here I've chosen one, and it's pretty neat. I can rotate it around using these options here. Oops, wrong rotation there. So if I wanted to interact with, let's say I have a scene that I want to interact with, this is where I could do that very easily. The daylight gallery is the one that you normally come into. We also have the old dojo from earlier versions of Glycon. Okay, and then we have props, and this is a whole new system. It's really cool. It adds a ton of new features to the prop system, and basically I can load in any prop I want, and using this, it's set to third person view so you can see this. So, oh, wrong side. Let's do it over here. Yeah. Oh, actually, we'll use a different view here. That work? Okay, so I can summon that prop to my hand using this combination of, oh, I need to set it to left-hand dominant there. That's what it is, dominance. Sets that. So I can summon that prop to a particular location. And then what I can do is I can put my hand, if I have over here, if I have it set to having a grip for that hand, I can place that hand wherever I want it and pull a trigger. And it will place this little grip indicator in the air. That means that the wrist and rotation and everything else is bound to that specific location. And so now, if I go live on this, you see that I am carrying my little briefcase. So this will work with any prop. You can use guns, whatever you want. And so another cool use of this is, I'm going to pull it back up. I'm going to use a different prop. I'm going to use a gun. Actually, I'll use the guitar. Okay, so the guitar scale is wrong. That's a little better. So what I want to do here, as you can see, here's the guitar. The scale's a little off. I didn't model this guitar. You need to bring things in at a 1-to-1 ratio. That'll help a lot. Oh, and I noticed that I'm still floating around. I'm gonna change that to shuffle. Okay, back to the props. Okay, so what I want to do on the guitar is I want to use my I'm going to use my left hand to decide where the guitar is going to be held, but I'm also going to use my right hand. So I'm going to put my left hand here on the guitar and pull the trigger, and put my right hand over here and pull the trigger. And so now, if I go live on this, if you'll notice, my hand, if you notice, my hand is actually, if you notice, my left hand is controlling the top of the guitar, and my right hand is controlling the bottom. Oh, yeah, gotta keep the guitar in front of my body. There we go. So that's how, if I wanted to, make it look like I'm playing the guitar. Well, hand gestures, you should probably use something else for the finger gestures on this, but that's my point. This allows you to control a single object, and ignore the weird elbow thing there. You need to kind of finesse use of the object, because it is going to try to track all the IK chain for this. But basically, this allows you to create something like, say, a guitar and play the guitar, or any number of other things. Oh, and the other thing is, when it's in this mode, I actually have control over my elbow using the other controller. So wherever I move the other controller, I'm moving it up and down, that moves my elbow too. So I'm only moving the left hand to move the whole guitar, and I'm moving the right hand to move my elbow. This allows you to have a little more control over the arms while you're playing a musical instrument. That's the idea. All right, so let's pull up the props again and go to none. Okay. So for audio, you can bring in your own audio. You can bring in your own audio, import your own audio. You can also record your audio while you're in a session. So if you want to record this, you giving a speech and then redub your speech later, this is an excellent way to do that, because the audio that you record will be perfectly synced to your animation. Same way if you have a song or a music or something that you want to play, and you want to play that music and then show off you playing a musical instrument or dancing to it or whatever, you can set that here, and when you hit record, it will start playing from the beginning of that audio clip. And then here are the Steam settings. If you want to use additional trackers, you can. You can calibrate all kinds of stuff here. In our case, we don't have the other trackers on right now, but I do want to show you how I could recalibrate my right arm, for example. So I click that and then click on Begin Calibration. And you can't see it in this video, in this view here, so I'm going to do overhead. You'll notice that wherever I move, my right hand is stationary in space. So what I want to do is put my real hand in the same spot. And what that looks like from my perspective is this. So you can see the laser moving around. That's where my hand actually is in the real world. I want to place it so that my hand in the real world is exactly where my hand is here. And then I'm going to hit save. And when I do that, now my hand is exactly where my hand is in the real world. So that's how you can calibrate that if you want it to be a little more precise. And the same would work for feet if we have feet trackers and pelvis, etc. Okay, so for display, this display setting here is basically the same as what you've got over on the side here. It's just, this is a convenience. And this has nothing to do with mocap, has everything to do with me making videos that are easier to follow though. And if you're trying to make something to explain to someone, these settings will allow you to do that very easily. And now for this next part, I need to lift this up just a little bit so you can see it a little better. There are several settings here under recording that are kind of small. There's target platform, export scale, frame rate, recording, format, and files. So target format is going to allow you to choose any of these formats. You can use Unity, iClone, Blender, DAZ, Unreal, or 3ds Max. And depending on what you choose, that's what it's going to export as. Okay. So recording lets you, if you're going to be using hand tracking, that's not going to apply in this case, but if we were using hand tracking, I could, on a headset that had hand tracking, I can use this to position a stop button so that after an animation, after a recording, after I'm done recording it, I just touch that virtual stop button in space and it will toggle recording. Export scale, this is, I'm still working this out and making sure it's working properly, but the idea is this should let you determine the height of your character that you want to export. Okay, so regardless of your actual height, this will determine the export size of the character. Frame rate, this should be pretty self-explanatory, and I've had mixed results with this. Depending on the headset and the system that you're using, this will either work or it just won't. It's not something I have a lot of control over, but the app will try to set the frame rate of the recording using this. For format, you can choose either BVH, FBX, or RAW. RAW is a CSV delimited file of just the rotation and orientation of all the bones. BVH is popular for a lot of mocap, and FBX is kind of the standard for video game mocap. So files, this is the last one. This is an interesting one. We have a new app called Glycon Studio, and it runs on your desktop. And you can actually export these not only to your system, you can export it to another system, either in your own network or even online, if you had the exact IP address for that. You would configure that IP address here. And this allows you to basically just export your files directly to another system, which is really nice for the fully integrated headsets that are not tethered to a computer, but it's even nice for the ones that are connected to a computer if you're trying to connect to a system that is not local to you. Like if you have a bunch of people animating, you might have one main animation server that you want to keep all your animations on, and here is how you can send those easily to that without having to use any other fancy file transfers. Okay, so that's basically it. Now we're going to get into how to actually record, and I'm going to use the mirror mode for that. So it's very simple. On the hand controllers, depending on the hand controller you have, oh, I see that my trackers are floating here for the props. I want to turn off the hand trackers, otherwise my hands will attach to those when I go live. Okay, so depending on which hand trackers or hand controllers you have, the buttons will be in different places, but basically it's usually going to be the topmost button that you can press, and that's going to toggle recording. And when I do that, you'll notice a few things. I'm going to show you this first. At the bottom here, it's going to say the format that's currently going to be written out over here on this corner, and then over here in the middle or on the other side, it's going to say the skeleton that's being used. So in this case, we're using the Unity Mixamo skeleton, and we're going to export an FBX file. And right above that FBX, there's a little gray dot. That's going to turn red as soon as we start recording. And up at the top, you can see it says, where it says Glycon3D.com, that's going to change to indicate that we're now recording. So I'm going to now switch to third-person view and show you what that looks like. So I'm going to hit the top button. It says 3, 2, 1, boom, recording. So now anything I do is going to be recorded. It's going to be recorded in a Unity Mixamo skeleton straight into FBX. Okay, so, and when I'm done, I just hit that top button one more time and pop, like that. And now, oh, wrong button, sorry. There we go. And now it says finished recording. Okay, so, and this light here is turned bluish green, cyan, I'm not sure what you'd call that, to indicate it is finished recording and you have now recorded something. So, very cool. We're going to hop back in there. I'm going to do, that one was in Unity, and I'm also going to hop into here and do one in Unreal, just to show you how easy this is. Okay, so now I've switched to the Unreal format. Again, I hit the same button, 3, 2, 1. We're recording, and this one is Unreal. Yay! And we are done. Okay, so now I've recorded 2 files, and that's all there is to it. So you've recorded motion capture. Now this, I went through every single piece of the product. Obviously, if I needed to record motion capture for something, I could do it in a couple of seconds. I just have to put on my headset, fire up Glycon, hit record, do the mocap, and I'm done. So let's take a look at what that animation looks like now. Here we go. We're just going to double click one of these. And here's our skeleton. And if I press play, there it is. So that's the Unreal skeleton. And let's take a look at that other one. So here's the Unity one. Now you might notice that there's a little box at the bottom, and there's a reason for that. Most 3D apps will not let you import just an animation in an FBX file. It has to have a mesh. So fine, I added a mesh. Every one of these has a little block somewhere on it that counts as that mesh. It's not used in the recording. It's not used in your final app or anything like that. It's just used to get past the requirement that an animation has to have a mesh. So now I could take the same animation and apply this trivially to a character in something else. Okay, so here we are in Unreal, and I'm going to pull in one of those animations. And that is all it takes. Yeah, so that's it. That's all it takes. Super easy to use. And you can use it to create really easy animations in a matter of seconds. So this is available for Steam VR headsets and for the Oculus Quest if you want to sideload it. For more information, go to Glycon3D.com and get yourself a copy. Thanks. Have a great day.